The ship was falling apart around him. Hyunwoo gripped the controls with both hands as sparks flew from the damaged panel in front of him. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. The engine made a terrible grinding noise that told him everything he needed to know. He was going down. Come on, he whispered to himself, trying to guide the small fighter toward the planet below. It was called Velthara, and it looked like a ball of purple and red rocks from up here. Not a friendly place. Not somewhere anyone would choose to land. But he had no choice now. The alien raiders had hit him hard during the patrol, 3 against 1. He had taken down 2 of their ships before the third one got lucky. A blast right to his main engine. After that, it was just a matter of time. The ship shook violently as it hit the atmosphere. Hyunwoo's teeth rattled. He could smell smoke. The heat shields were barely working. He aimed for what looked like a flat area between 2 mountain ranges. Maybe he could survive this. Maybe. The impact was worse than he expected. Even with the emergency thrusters, the ship hit the ground hard. Hyunwoo's head snapped forward against the restraints. Pain shot through his shoulder. The ship skidded across rocky ground, throwing up dust and debris before finally stopping against a large boulder. For a moment, Hyunwoo just sat there, breathing hard. His shoulder hurt badly. When he touched it, his hand came away with blood. A piece of metal from the console had cut through his flight suit. Not deep, but not good either. He unbuckled himself and stood up slowly. The ship was dead, no power, no communications. The emergency beacon would activate automatically, but help might take days to arrive. He was alone on a hostile alien planet with limited supplies. Hyunwoo grabbed his emergency pack from the storage locker. Inside was a med kit, some food rations, water purification tablets, a thermal blanket, and a plasma knife. Not much, but better than nothing. He sealed his shoulder wound with medical foam and took a pain reliever. Then he climbed out through the damaged hatch. The air outside was thin but breathable. The sky was a strange orange color, and everything smelled like sulfur. Sharp crystal formations jutted up from the ground everywhere. The temperature was cold, maybe just above freezing. Hyunwoo pulled his jacket tighter. He needed to find shelter before night came. The mission briefing had mentioned that Velthara had dangerous predators that hunted after dark. He didn't want to meet them. As he walked away from his wrecked ship, scanning the rocky terrain for a cave or something, he heard a sound. It was faint, almost lost in the wind, a crying sound, like a small animal in pain. Hyunwoo stopped and listened carefully. There it was again, coming from somewhere to his left behind a cluster of tall crystal spikes. He should keep moving. Find shelter, worry about himself. That was the smart thing to do. But the crying sound continued, weak and desperate. Something was hurt. Something needed help. Hyunwoo changed direction and headed toward the sound. He moved carefully between the sharp crystals, following the cries. They got louder as he went deeper into a narrow canyon. Then he saw it. Behind a large rock, curled up in a small hollow, was a baby dragon. Hyunwoo froze. He had heard about dragons. Everyone in the galaxy had. They were one of the oldest and most powerful species. Warriors, conquerors, proud and fierce. But he had never seen one in person. This one was tiny, maybe the size of a cat. Its scales shimmered with colors that shifted between purple and blue and green as it moved. It had small wings that looked too fragile to fly. Its eyes were large and golden, filled with fear and pain. The baby dragon saw him and tried to crawl backward, but it was too weak. It made a small hissing sound that would have been threatening if it came from an adult dragon. From this tiny creature, it just sounded scared. Hyunwoo looked around carefully. Where were its parents? Dragons were protective of their young. The parents should be nearby. But the area was empty, silent except for the wind. Then he noticed the marks on the ground, large claw prints in the dust, scorch marks on the rocks from dragon fire, signs of a struggle or maybe just dragons landing and taking off. But the prince led away from this spot, away from the baby. Hyunwoo moved closer, keeping his hands visible and non-threatening. The baby dragon watched him with those big golden eyes. It was shivering. Its breathing was fast and shallow. He knelt down a few feet away. Now he could see more details. The baby had scratches on its scales. It looked thin, like it hadn't eaten in days. And there was something else. Most dragons he had seen in pictures were red or black or gold. This one's colors were different. Strange. The purple and blue scales seemed to shimmer with an inner light. "Hey there, little one," Hyunwoo said softly. "Where's your family?" The dragon made a small chirping sound. Not aggressive now, just sad. Hyunwoo looked at the claw marks again and understood. The baby had been left here on purpose, abandoned. But why would dragons abandon their own child? He thought about leaving. This wasn't his problem. He had his own survival to worry about. The baby dragon would probably die, but that was nature. That was how things worked sometimes. But when he looked into those golden eyes, he couldn't do it. He couldn't just walk away. "All right," he said quietly. "Let's see if we can help each other." He slowly reached into his pack and pulled out the thermal blanket. The baby dragon tensed but didn't run. Hyunwoo unfolded the blanket and gently draped it over the small creature. The dragon made a surprised chirping sound, then seemed to relax as the warmth surrounded it. Next, Hyunwoo opened one of his food rations. It was a protein bar meant for humans, probably not good for dragons, but he broke off a small piece and held it out. The baby dragon sniffed it carefully. Then, with a quick movement, it snatched the piece from his fingers and swallowed it. The dragon looked up at him expectantly, and Hyunwoo couldn't help but smile. "Hungry, huh? Me too." He broke off another small piece. This time the dragon took it more gently. As it ate, Hyunwoo noticed the sun was getting lower in the sky. Orange light turned red. Shadows grew longer. "We need to find shelter," he said, more to himself than to the dragon. "Both of us. Think you can move?" The baby dragon looked at him with what seemed like understanding. Slowly, shakily, it stood up on 4 legs. It was wobbly, but it could walk. Hyunwoo stood up too and looked around. There, about 50 meters away, he saw a dark opening in the canyon wall. A cave, maybe. It would have to do. "Come on," he said, starting to walk toward it. He looked back to see if the dragon would follow. The small creature hesitated for just a moment. Then, wrapped in the thermal blanket that dragged behind it like a cape, the baby dragon took its first steps toward the human stranger, who had chosen not to abandon it. As they walked together toward the cave, neither of them knew that this moment would change everything, not just for them, but for their entire species. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness grow into the biggest changes. Sometimes choosing to help someone who is different from you is the bravest thing you can do. The sun set on Velthara, and the first stars appeared in the orange sky. In the cave entrance, a human and a dragon huddled together for warmth. Against all odds, against all logic, a bond was beginning to form. The cave was shallow, but it would work. Hyunwoo checked every corner with his flashlight before settling in. No signs of other creatures living here. Good. He had enough problems already. The baby dragon followed him inside, still wrapped in the thermal blanket. It looked around nervously, making small chirping sounds. Hyunwoo found a relatively flat spot near the back wall and sat down with a tired sigh. His shoulder still hurt despite the medicine. "Come here," he said to the dragon, patting the ground next to him. "We should stay close. Keep warm." The dragon tilted its head, studying him with those intelligent golden eyes. Then it walked over and curled up against his side. Hyunwoo could feel the small creature's heartbeat. Fast like a bird's. The dragon was scared but trusting him anyway. "I'm going to call you Bora," Hyunwoo said, thinking of the purple-blue color of the dragon's scales. "Is that okay?" The dragon, Bora, made a soft trilling sound. Hyunwoo decided to take that as agreement. As darkness fell outside, strange sounds filled the night. Howls and screams from creatures Hyunwoo couldn't see. He kept his plasma knife close. The blade hummed softly with energy, casting a faint blue glow. Bora pressed closer to him whenever a particularly loud sound echoed through the canyon. The little dragon was terrified. Hyunwoo put his arm around the small body gently. "It's okay," he whispered. "I won't let anything hurt you." He wondered if Bora could understand his words. Dragons were supposed to be smart. Maybe even as smart as humans. But this was just a baby. They both fell asleep eventually, exhausted from the day's events. Hyunwoo woke up to Bora's urgent chirping. It was still dark outside, but something was wrong. He heard scratching sounds at the cave entrance. Something was trying to get in. He grabbed his plasma knife and stood up quickly. The pain in his shoulder flared, but he ignored it. Bora cowered behind him, making scared sounds. 2 pairs of glowing eyes appeared at the cave mouth. The creatures stepped into the dim light. They looked like lizards, but bigger. Much bigger. Each one was the size of a large dog with sharp teeth and claws. Their skin was covered in rough scales. Predators. The creatures hissed at Hyunwoo. They had smelled easy prey, 2 wounded things hiding in a cave. Now they were ready to attack. "Stay back!" Hyunwoo warned, holding the knife up. His hand was steady even though his heart was racing. The creatures didn't care about warnings. They rushed forward together. Hyunwoo met the first one head-on. He sidestepped its lunge and slashed with the plasma knife. The blade cut through scales and flesh. The creature screamed and fell. But the second one was already coming. It hit him hard, knocking him backward. Hyunwoo felt claws rake across his arm. Pain shot through him. The creature's jaw snapped at his throat. He got his knife up just in time, jamming it into the thing's belly. The creature thrashed and died, but now Hyunwoo was bleeding from new wounds. He lay there breathing hard, checking if more were coming. The cave entrance was quiet. Just two, lucky. Behind him, Bora made worried sounds. The little dragon came over and sniffed at his wounds. Hyunwoo forced himself to sit up. "I'm okay," he said, though he didn't feel okay. "Just scratches." He used more medical foam on the new wounds. His supplies were running low already. This was day one. How would he survive until rescue came? When morning light finally appeared, Hyunwoo dragged the dead creatures out of the cave. He couldn't stay here with them. The smell would attract more predators. Plus, he thought maybe the meat was edible. He had to consider everything now. Bora watched from the cave entrance as he worked. The little dragon looked stronger in the morning light. Less shaky. The food and warmth had helped. Hyunwoo cut some meat from the creatures and cooked it over a small fire made with his emergency fire starter. He tried a small piece first. It tasted terrible but didn't make him sick. He ate more knowing he needed the energy. Bora sniffed the cooked meat but turned away. Not interested. That made sense. Different species, different food. "What do you eat?" Hyunwoo asked. He knew Bora couldn't answer, but talking helped him think. "Baby dragons need food too. Where did your parents feed you?" He thought about that. Dragons breathed fire. They ate meat, probably. But baby dragons might need something different. Milk? Did dragons have milk? He had no idea. They couldn't stay in the cave. He needed to find water and figure out what Bora could eat. So he made a sling from part of his torn flight suit and carefully placed Bora inside. The dragon squirmed at first, but settled down when Hyunwoo tied the sling across his chest. Now Bora was safe and his hands were free. They set out into the canyon, Hyunwoo looking for any source of water. Bora's head poked out of the sling, looking around at everything with curious eyes. After an hour of walking, Hyunwoo found something interesting. Growing on the cliff walls were strange mushroom-like plants. They glowed with a soft blue light even in the daylight. When he got closer, he could smell something sweet. Bora suddenly became excited, chirping and trying to climb out of the sling. The dragon wanted these plants. "Easy, easy," Hyunwoo said. He carefully picked one of the glowing mushrooms and held it out. Bora grabbed it with small claws and ate it eagerly. The dragon made happy sounds. "So that's what you eat," Hyunwoo said with relief. At least now he knew. But the mushrooms only grew high up on the cliff walls. Reaching them was dangerous. The rocks were sharp and loose. Hyunwoo had to climb carefully, finding footholds, stretching to reach the glowing plants. He picked as many as he could carry, stuffing them into his pack while Bora chirped encouragement. On the way down, his foot slipped. He caught himself, but it was close. His heart pounded. If he fell and got hurt badly, both of them would die here. They found water next, a small stream running between rocks. Hyunwoo used his purification tablets to make it safe. He drank deeply and refilled his bottle. Bora lapped at the water with a small tongue. For the next 2 days, they fell into a routine. Hyunwoo hunted the lizard creatures for food. It was dangerous, but he was getting better at it. He learned their patterns, how they moved. When they attacked, his military training was the only thing keeping him alive. Bora ate the glowing mushrooms and grew stronger each day. The little dragon could walk longer distances now. The wounds on its scales were healing, but the planet seemed determined to kill them. On the third night, they were attacked by something bigger. A creature that looked like a cross between a bear and a lizard with armor plating on its back. It was huge, easily twice Hyunwoo's size. Hyunwoo fought it with his knife and a makeshift spear he had made from a sharp rock and a stick. The creature was strong and fast. It knocked him down twice. His old wounds reopened. He tasted blood in his mouth. Bora was hiding behind a rock, but the dragon kept making loud chirping sounds. Warning sounds. Every time the creature tried to circle around, Bora would chirp, and Hyunwoo would know where to look. The dragon was helping him. Working with him, but it wasn't enough. The creature was too strong. It hit Hyunwoo hard enough to crack ribs. He fell and couldn't get up fast enough. The creature lunged, jaws open. This was it. This was how he died. Then something strange happened. Bora rushed forward from the hiding spot, no longer afraid. The little dragon opened its mouth and made a sound. Not fire. Dragons could breathe fire, but Bora was too young for that. Instead, a pulse of energy came out. It was like a wave that Hyun-woo could almost see. Blue and purple light that hit the armored creature right in the face. The creature stopped. It shook its head, confused and disoriented. Its eyes looked unfocused. Hyun-woo didn't waste the chance. He grabbed his spear and drove it up under the creature's jaw. The beast fell and didn't move again. Hyun-woo collapsed, breathing hard, ribs screaming with pain. Bora ran over to him, making worried sounds. The dragon nuzzled against his face. "You saved me," Hyun-woo said, his voice weak. "You actually saved me," Bora chirped softly and curled up against him. Both of them were shaking. That night, under the strange stars of Velthara, Hyun-woo realized something. He had thought he was saving Bora, protecting a helpless baby dragon. But Bora was protecting him too. They were saving each other. On the fourth day, Hyun-woo's emergency beacon finally got a response. A ship was coming. Rescue was on the way. He sat with Bora at the cave entrance, waiting. The dragon was bigger now, growing fast. Its scales shimmered more brightly, and when Bora looked at him, Hyun-woo saw understanding in those golden eyes. Real understanding. "They're coming to get us," he told Bora. "We're going home, both of us." The dragon made a soft sound and leaned against him. They had survived together. Against a hostile planet, against creatures that wanted to kill them. Against all odds. They had survived because they had each other. When the rescue ship appeared in the orange sky, Hyun-woo stood up with Bora in his arms. The dragon felt heavier now, stronger, but still small enough to hold. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Human and dragon, an unlikely pair, but somehow against everything it worked. The rescue ship landed with a soft hum. The door opened and Captain Da-eun stepped out, followed by 2 medical staff. She stopped when she saw Hyun-woo standing there with a dragon in his arms. "What in the stars?" she started, then rushed forward. "Are you hurt?" "What is that?" "Her name is Bora," Hyun-woo said. "And yes, I'm hurt, but I'll be fine." The medics wanted to separate them immediately. "Take Hyun-woo to the medical bay. Put Bora in a containment cell for study. Standard procedure for alien life forms." "No," Hyun-woo said firmly. "She stays with me." "That's not how this works," Captain Da-eun said. "That creature needs to be secured and studied. We need to know if it's dangerous." "She's not dangerous. She's a baby. And she saved my life." Bora chirped and pressed closer to Hyun-woo, sensing the tension. The dragon's scales shifted to darker colors, nervous colors. Captain Da-eun looked at the small dragon, then at Hyun-woo's determined face. She sighed. "Fine, but she rides in medical bay with you. And if she shows any signs of aggression, she goes into containment." "Clear?" "Clear," Hyun-woo agreed. The flight back to Station Meridian 7 took 6 hours. Hyun-woo lay in the medical bed while doctors fixed his broken ribs and treated his wounds. Bora stayed curled up on a chair next to him, watching everything with worried eyes. When they arrived at the station, word had already spread. There was a dragon on board. People crowded the docking bay to see. Some were curious. Others looked afraid. Station security was waiting. Their chief Tae-yang stood with his arms crossed. He was a big man with a scarred face and a reputation for being tough on rules. "That creature cannot stay on this station," he said immediately. "It needs to go to the research facility." "She," Hyun-woo corrected, walking down the ramp with Bora following him. The dragon stayed close to his legs. "She is not going anywhere." "Listen, pilot," Tae-yang said, stepping forward. "I understand you bonded with it during your survival situation. But this is a military station. We have protocols. Dragons are a hostile species. They've attacked our colonies before. Adult dragons did that. Bora is just a child. She was abandoned by her own kind, left to die. That doesn't change what she is," Tae-yang argued. A new voice joined the conversation. "Actually, that changes everything." An older man pushed through the crowd. He wore the white coat of a scientist. "I'm Dr. Young-sik, xenobiology. May I see the dragon?" Hyun-woo nodded carefully. Dr. Young-sik approached slowly, keeping his movements gentle. Bora watched him but didn't hide. "Fascinating," the doctor said, studying Bora's coloring. "I've never seen scales like this. The purple and blue patterns. Most dragons are red, black, or gold. This is extremely rare. Why was she abandoned?" Hyun-woo asked. Dragons don't just leave their babies to die, do they? Dr. Young-Sik's expression turned sad. Actually, they do. Dragon society is very strict. They value strength, aggression, and certain bloodlines. If a hatchling is born with abnormal coloring or shows signs of genetic differences, they consider it defective. The parents abandon it to maintain the purity of their line. Hyunwoo felt anger rise in his chest. That's barbaric. It's their culture, Dr. Young-Sik said. Not one we agree with, but not ours to judge either. So what happens to Bora now? Hyunwoo asked. That's up to command, Captain Daun said. She had followed them from the ship. We need to report this to headquarters. Get official guidance. For 3 days, Hyunwoo waited while the military decided what to do. They let him keep Bora in his quarters temporarily. The room was small, meant for one person, but they made it work. Bora explored everything with endless curiosity. She sniffed his books, climbed on his furniture, tried to eat his socks. She was growing fast now, already the size of a medium dog. Her wings were getting stronger too. She could glide short distances. Hyunwoo researched everything he could find about dragons. Their biology, their culture, their history. He learned that dragons lived for centuries, that they had powerful abilities beyond just breathing fire, that their society was based on honor and combat. He also learned that cross-species adoption was almost unheard of. Humans and dragons had a complicated relationship. Sometimes allies, sometimes enemies. Never friends, but Bora didn't care about any of that. She followed Hyunwoo everywhere. When he felt sad, she nuzzled against him. When he laughed, she made happy chirping sounds. She was learning to understand human words, not speaking them but understanding. One day Hyunwoo said sit, and Bora sat. He was amazed. Good girl, he said, and Bora's scales brightened with pride. Other people on the station started to notice the bond. One of them was Ji-won, an engineer who worked on the lower decks. She came to visit after hearing about the dragon. Can I meet her? Ji-won asked at the door. Hyunwoo let her in. Bora looked up from where she was lying on the floor. Oh, Ji-won said softly. She's beautiful. Bora tilted her head, studying the new human. Then she walked over and sniffed Ji-won's hand. The engineer stayed still, letting Bora get comfortable. After a moment, Bora made a friendly chirp. I think she likes you, Hyunwoo said with a smile. Ji-won started visiting regularly. She brought toys she made in the workshop. Perches for Bora to sit on. Even a scratching post like for a cat but bigger. Bora loved it all. You know people are talking about you too, right? Ji-won said one day. Some think you're crazy, but others think it's incredible. A human raising a dragon. Nobody's ever done that before. I'm not trying to make a statement, Hyunwoo said. I'm just taking care of her. She needed help. That's what makes it special, Ji-won said. Then the order came from headquarters. Hyunwoo was called to a meeting with Captain Daun, Dr. Young-Sik, and Tae-yang. We've received guidance from command, Daun said. They're allowing you to maintain custody of the dragon conditionally. Hyunwoo felt relief wash over him. What conditions? You're responsible for her behavior. Any damage, any incidents, you answer for them. She needs regular medical checkups with Dr. Young-Sik, and she must be kept away from sensitive areas of the station. I can do that. Hyunwoo agreed quickly. There's more, Tae-yang said, his voice serious. We've received communications from the Dragon Empire. They know about her. Hyunwoo felt his stomach drop. How? Someone must have reported it, Dr. Young-Sik said. Word travels fast in space. The dragons want her back. She was abandoned, Hyunwoo protested. They gave up any claim to her. That's not how they see it, Daun said. She pulled up a hologram display. It showed a massive dragon in armor. This is Warlord Kale. He's the leader of the military fleet in this sector. He says Bora is property of the Dragon Empire and must be returned. Property? Hyunwoo felt anger boiling. She's not property. She's a living being. Dragons don't see it that way, Dr. Young-Sik explained. To them, all dragons belong to the Empire, even abandoned ones. What are they going to do if we say no? Hyunwoo asked. The room went quiet. Then Tae-yang spoke. They said they would take her by force if necessary. They're sending representatives to the station. They'll be here in 4 days. Hyunwoo's mind raced. We can't let them take her. They'll kill her. She's different from what they want. That's why they abandoned her in the first place. We know, Daun said gently. That's why Command is sending this to the Galactic Council. There's going to be a hearing. You'll have to speak on her behalf. The Galactic Council? Hyun-woo had heard of it. Representatives from all major species making decisions about disputes and laws. When? 2 weeks. They're fast-tracking it because of the sensitivity. Hyun-woo went back to his quarters in a daze. Bora was waiting at the door like she always did when he left. She could sense his emotions now. Her scales shifted to concerned colors. We have to fight for you, he told her, kneeling down to her level. People are coming who want to take you away. But I won't let them. I promise. Bora made a soft sound and pressed her head against his chest. In that moment, Hyun-woo realized how much she meant to him. She wasn't just a creature he had saved. She was family. Over the next few days, people started choosing sides. Some station personnel thought Hyun-woo should just give Bora back to avoid conflict. Others supported him. Jiwon made shirts that said, "Stand with Bora," and wore one every day. Dr. Young-sik helped prepare for the hearing. He documented everything about Bora, her growth, her abilities, her intelligence. He ran tests that showed Bora had empathic abilities. She could sense emotions in others. That was why she always knew when Hyun-woo was sad or happy. This is remarkable, Dr. Young-sik said, looking at the test results. Normal dragons don't have this ability. This is why they abandoned her. She's evolved differently. She has something they lost. What do you mean? Hyun-woo asked. Dragons used to be more like her, thousands of years ago, but they bred for aggression and strength. They lost their empathy. Bora represents what they used to be, and maybe what they could become again. When the dragon representatives arrived, Hyun-woo wasn't allowed to meet them. Security kept them in a separate section, but he saw them on the monitors. 3 large dragons in armor, walking upright like humans sometimes did. They looked powerful and intimidating. The night before they were supposed to leave for the council, Hyun-woo couldn't sleep. He sat with Bora, who was now almost as big as he was. She had grown so fast. I don't know what's going to happen, he told her, but whatever it is, we face it together. Okay. Bora looked at him with those golden eyes. Then the Galactic Council chamber was bigger than anything Hyun-woo had ever seen. It was a massive circular room with seats rising up in tiers. Representatives from dozens of species sat in those seats, all watching the center floor where Hyun-woo stood with Bora beside him. Across from them stood Warlord Kale and 2 other dragons. Kale was huge, nearly 3 meters tall even in his half-upright stance. His scales were deep crimson and his eyes were like cold fire. He wore ceremonial armor that marked his high rank. The council leader, an elderly being from a species that looked like floating jellyfish, spoke in a voice that was translated into everyone's language through devices in their ears. We are here to decide the fate of the young dragon called Bora. The Dragon Empire claims ownership. The human Hyun-woo claims guardianship through rescue and care. Each side will present their case, Warlord Kale spoke first. His voice was deep and filled with authority. This matter is simple. The hatchling is a dragon. All dragons belong to the Empire. She must be returned to us. The human had no right to take her. I didn't take her, Hyun-woo said, his voice steady despite his nervousness. I found her abandoned. Left to die. She would have died if I hadn't helped her. That changes nothing, Kale said. She is still Empire property. She's not property, Hyun-woo shot back. She's a living, thinking being. And you abandoned her. You gave up any right to her. Kyle's eyes flashed with anger. You know nothing of our ways, human. The hatchling was defective. Wrong coloring. Wrong temperament. She would have weakened the bloodline. So you just left her to die? Hyun-woo felt his own anger rising. What kind of honor is that? The honor of strength. Kale's voice boomed through the chamber. We dragons maintain our power through careful breeding, through selecting only the strongest. This is our way. Bora, who had been sitting quietly next to Hyun-woo, made a low growling sound. Her scales rippled with dark colors. The council leader raised an appendage for silence. The human will present his case. Hyun-woo took a deep breath. Dr. Young-sik had helped him prepare for this. I saved Bora's life. I fed her, protected her, cared for her. In return, she saved my life too. We survived together. She's not defective. She's different. And different isn't wrong. He pulled up holographic displays showing Bora's test results. She has abilities other dragons don't have. She can sense emotions, feel empathy, work cooperatively with others. These aren't weaknesses, they're strengths. They are contamination, Kale said coldly. Proof that she should have died. We do not need empathy. We need power. And how's that working out for you? Hyunwoo challenged. Dragons used to be part of the council. Now you're isolated. Other species don't trust you because you only understand force. Murmurs went through the council chamber. Kale's expression became dangerous. After hours of debate, the council made their decision. The council leader announced it. We grant temporary custody to the human Hyunwoo. The dragon Bora was legally abandoned. However, if the Dragon Empire can prove she poses a threat to their society, they may petition again in 1 year. It wasn't a complete victory, but it was something. Hyunwoo felt relief wash over him. Bora chirped happily and rubbed against his leg. But Kale looked at them with cold fury. This is not over, he said. That creature is an insult to everything we are. She will not be allowed to exist. As they left the council chambers, Hyunwoo felt someone watching them. He looked back to see Kale staring, his expression promising trouble. They returned to Station Meridian 7, but things didn't get easier. Word of the council's decision spread quickly. Some dragons saw it as a victory for humans over their empire, a loss of face, an insult. 2 weeks later, the first attack came. Hyunwoo was in his quarters with Bora when the lights went out. Emergency systems kicked in, bathing everything in red light. Alarms blared. Hull breach on Deck 7, the computer announced. Security to Deck 7. Hyunwoo grabbed his weapon. Bora stood up alert, her scales shifting to combat colors even though she had never been in real combat. Stay here, Hyunwoo ordered. But Bora followed him anyway. She wasn't going to let him face danger alone. They reached Deck 7 to find chaos. 3 dragon warriors in black armor had breached the hull and were fighting their way through the station. They weren't here for combat practice. They were here to kill. Specifically to kill Bora. Taeyang and his security team were fighting back, but dragon warriors were tough. Their scales acted as armor. Their claws could cut through metal. They breathed fire that melted walls. One of the dragons saw Bora and roared. There, the defective one. Kill it! The dragon charged. Hyunwoo stepped in front of Bora and fired his plasma rifle. The shot hit the dragon's shoulder but barely slowed it down. The warrior swung a massive clawed hand at Hyunwoo. Then Bora did something incredible. She leaped forward and released that pulse of energy. The same one she had used on Velthara, but stronger now, much stronger. The pulse hit the attacking dragon like a wall. The warrior stumbled backward, confused and disoriented. Taeyang's team used the opening to bring the dragon down with stun weapons. The other 2 dragons saw what happened and changed tactics. They tried to get around the security team to reach Bora, but Bora kept releasing those pulses, disrupting their attacks, giving the humans time to respond. Finally, all 3 attackers were subdued. Taeyang looked at Bora with new respect. That dragon just saved half my team, he said to Hyunwoo. She's not like other dragons, Hyunwoo said, breathing hard. The captured warriors were interrogated. They admitted they were part of a secret group that opposed the council's decision. They had come to kill Bora to preserve dragon honor. There will be more, Captain Da-eun said in the emergency meeting afterward. These fanatics won't stop. Then we need to do more than just defend, Hyunwoo said. We need to change minds. Dr. Young-sik had an idea. What if we show what Bora can do? Her unique abilities. If we can prove she's valuable, not just to us, but potentially to everyone, maybe attitudes will change. Over the next month, that's exactly what they did. News crews came to the station. They documented Bora's abilities. How she could sense emotions and predict dangerous behavior. How her energy pulses could disable threats without killing. How she worked with humans in a way no other dragon ever had. One day there was an emergency on a civilian transport ship. A reactor was failing. The crew was panicking, making mistakes that made things worse. The ship was going to explode. Send me, Hyunwoo said to Captain Da-eun. Bora can help. They took a fast shuttle to the transport. When they arrived, the crew was in chaos. People were shouting, crying, running in all directions. The reactor was melting down. Bora walked into the middle of it and released a massive pulse. Not to hurt anyone, but to calm them. The empathic wave washed over everyone. Panic faded. Minds cleared. The chief engineer, who had been frozen with fear, suddenly remembered what to do. With calm hands and Bora's presence keeping everyone focused, they stabilized the reactor. The ship was saved. 300 people lived because of a dragon. A defective dragon that was supposed to have died as a baby. The video of that rescue went viral across the galaxy. People started talking about Bora differently. Not as a threat, not as a mistake, but as a hero. Jiwon started a message board for people to share their thoughts. Messages came from everywhere. Humans saying Bora gave them hope. Other species saying maybe dragons weren't all bad. And surprisingly, some from young dragons. Young dragons who were starting to question their society's harsh rules. Who wondered if strength and empathy could exist together. Who saw Bora as something new and exciting, not something to fear. But not everyone was happy about this. The old dragons, the traditional ones, saw Bora's popularity as a threat. She represented everything they had tried to eliminate from their species. Hyunwoo started receiving death threats. Someone tried to poison Bora's food. Another group attempted to sabotage the station's life support. Each attack failed, but the message was clear. There were dragons who wanted Bora dead, and they wouldn't stop. One night, Hyunwoo sat with Bora in their quarters. She was fully grown now, as big as an adult dragon, but still young in years. Her scales shimmered with that unique purple-blue color. Her eyes held wisdom that seemed older than her age. "I'm sorry," he told her. "I brought you into all this. Maybe your life would have been simpler if—" Bora interrupted him by placing her large head on his lap. She made a sound that was almost like purring. Her way of saying she didn't regret anything. "You know what's funny?" Hyunwoo said, stroking her scales. "I used to be just a pilot. Nobody special. Then I found you, and now we're at the center of something big. Something that might change how dragons and humans see each other." Bora made a soft sound of agreement. A message appeared on Hyunwoo's screen. It was from Counselor Hae-rin, a human diplomat who had supported them at the hearing. She had an idea, a bold idea. What if Bora went to the dragon homeworld? What if she spoke to dragons directly, showed them what she was, what she could do, what they could become again? "That's insane," Hyunwoo said out loud. "They'll kill us," but Bora stood up, her expression determined. She wanted to do it. She wanted to face her own kind. Hyunwoo looked at his friend, his companion, his family. "You're sure about this?" "Bo." The planet Drakmor appeared in the viewport like a blood-red jewel against the black of space. It was a world of volcanoes and fire, mountains that touched the clouds, and cities built into the rock itself. The homeworld of dragons. Hyunwoo felt his hands shake slightly on the controls. Any sane person would be terrified. He was flying into the heart of a civilization that wanted Bora dead. But Bora sat calmly in the co-pilot seat, her golden eyes fixed on her homeworld. A place she had never been. A place that had rejected her before birth. "Still not too late to turn back," Hyunwoo said, though he knew what her answer would be. Bora looked at him and shook her head. No. They had come this far. They would see it through. The communication system crackled. "Unidentified ship, this is Drakmor Traffic Control. State your business." Hyunwoo took a deep breath. "This is Pilot Hyunwoo of the Human Federation. I'm here with Bora, a dragon citizen. We request permission to address the Grand Assembly." There was a long silence. Then a different voice came through, older and filled with authority. "This is Elder Sul of the Grand Assembly. We have been expecting you. You may land at the assembly grounds, but know this, human. You are not welcome here. Neither is the defective one." "We understand," Hyunwoo said. "Thank you for seeing us anyway." They landed on a platform carved from black volcanic rock. The assembly building loomed above them, massive and ancient. Dragons filled the plaza around it, hundreds of them. All had come to see the defective dragon and her human. Hyunwoo and Bora walked down the ramp together. The crowd of dragons went silent. They stared at Bora with expressions ranging from curiosity to disgust to anger. Bora held her head high. Her scales shimmered with that unique purple-blue color that marked her as different. She walked with grace and strength, showing no fear. A group of dragon guards in ceremonial armor approached. Their leader was Warlord Kale. Of course it was him. "So the defective one dares to come home," Kale said with contempt. "This will make things easier. We can end this insult right here. We have permission from Elder Sul to address the assembly," Hyunwoo said firmly. "Will you deny your own elder's decision?" Kale's eyes flashed with anger, but he stepped aside. "Speak then. Let all witness your foolishness before we correct this mistake." They were led into the assembly chamber. It was even more impressive than the Galactic Council chamber. The walls were carved with the history of dragons. Great battles. Ancient heroes. A civilization built on power and glory. The Grand Assembly consisted of 12 elder dragons, the oldest and most respected of their kind. They sat on elevated platforms around the circular room. In the center was a raised platform where speakers stood. Elder Sul, a dragon whose scales had faded to silver with age, spoke first. "We have allowed you to come here as a courtesy. The Galactic Council may have granted you temporary custody of the hatchling, but this is Drakmore. Here, dragon law rules. Speak quickly. The Assembly has much to discuss." Hyunwoo stepped onto the central platform. Bora climbed up beside him. He could feel thousands of dragon eyes on them. "Honored elders," Hyunwoo began, "I come before you not to challenge your ways but to show you what might be possible." Bora was abandoned as a baby, left to die because she was different. But her differences are not weaknesses. They are strengths you have forgotten. "We have forgotten nothing," another elder said harshly. "We remember weakness. We remember when dragons were soft. When we allowed empathy to cloud our judgment. We nearly went extinct because of it. We survived by becoming hard, strong, pure. But at what cost?" Hyunwoo asked. "How many of your children have you thrown away? How many gifts have you rejected because they didn't fit your narrow definition of strength?" Angry murmurs filled the chamber. Dragons didn't like being questioned, especially not by a human, but Hyunwoo continued. "Bora saved a ship full of people by calming their panic. She has abilities to sense emotions and work with others that no other dragon has. She represents something your ancestors knew, that true strength comes from unity, not isolation." "Pretty words," Warlord Kale said, standing from his place in the crowd. "But words mean nothing. Dragons respect only power, only action." He turned to address the assembly. "I invoke the ancient law. I challenge this defective creature to ritual combat. If she is truly strong, let her prove it. When she fails, as she must, all will see that our ways are right." The assembly chamber erupted with voices. Some dragons supported the challenge. Others seemed uncertain. Elder Sewell raised a clawed hand for silence. "The ancient law is clear. A challenged dragon must accept combat or be declared weak and exiled." "What say you, Bora?" Bora looked at Hyunwoo. He could see the fear in her eyes, but also determination. She knew what she had to do, but Hyunwoo stepped forward. "Wait. The ancient laws also allow for a guardian to fight in place of a young dragon. I claim that right." The assembly went silent. Then Elder Sewell spoke, surprise in her voice. "A human wishes to fight for a dragon? This has never been done." "There are a lot of things that have never been done," Hyunwoo said. "Until now," Kale laughed. It was a cold, cruel sound. "A human against a dragon warlord? This will be brief. The combat would take place the next day at dawn." Hyunwoo spent the night preparing. He was given a small room in the assembly complex. Bora stayed with him, refusing to leave his side. "You don't have to do this," Bora said. Hyunwoo jumped. Bora had spoken, not in chirps or growls, in actual words. When had she learned to speak? "You can talk?" he asked, amazed. "I've been practicing," Bora said. Her voice was rough but clear. "Learning, listening, you taught me so much, Hyunwoo. Now I teach myself." Hyunwoo felt tears in his eyes. "You never stop surprising me." "You fight for me tomorrow," Bora said. "Why? You could die." "Because you're family," Hyunwoo said simply. "And family protects each other. You've saved my life more times than I can count. Let me do this for you." "I am scared," Bora admitted. "Me too," Hyunwoo said, hugging her large neck. "But we've been scared before, and we always make it through, together." Dawn came too quickly. The combat arena was carved into the side of a volcano. Lava flowed in channels around it, providing heat and light. Thousands of dragons filled the stands to watch. Hyunwoo stood in the center of the arena. He wore light armor that Dr. Young-sik had designed. It wouldn't stop a dragon's full strength, but it might help him survive a little longer. Kale entered from the opposite side. In his full battle armor, wielding a massive warhammer, he looked unstoppable. This was a dragon who had fought in hundreds of battles, who had never lost. "Last chance to surrender, human," Kale called across the arena. "Die with some dignity." "I don't plan on dying," Hyunwoo called back. "I plan on showing you what you've been missing." The fight began. Kyle was fast despite his size. He charged forward, hammer raised. Hyunwoo rolled to the side. The hammer hit the ground where he had been standing, cracking the stone. Hyunwoo couldn't match Kyle's strength, but he could be smart. He had to use everything Bora had taught him, everything they had learned together. He ran toward one of the lava channels. Kale followed, confident. Hyunwoo jumped over the channel at the last second. Kale started to follow, then stopped. Too dangerous even for a dragon. But Hyunwoo had bought himself time to think. To plan, the fight continued. Kale landed blow after blow. Hyunwoo's armor cracked. His ribs took damage. Blood ran into his eyes. But he kept moving, kept fighting. In the stands, Bora was desperate. She could feel Hyunwoo's pain through their bond. She wanted to help, but the rules forbade it. Then Hyunwoo fell. Kale's hammer caught him in the side and sent him flying. He hit the ground hard and didn't get up. Kale walked over slowly, raising his hammer for the final blow. You fought well for a human, but this ends now. But then something happened. Bora couldn't help directly, but she could share. She reached out with her empathic abilities, not to Kale, but to Hyunwoo. She shared her strength, her energy, her thoughts. Suddenly, Hyunwoo could feel what Bora felt, see what she saw. They became one mind and two bodies. He knew exactly where Kale would strike before the hammer fell. He rolled away with impossible timing. Kale swung again. Missed again. Hyunwoo moved like he could read minds because, in a way, he could. Bora was guiding him, helping him, fighting with him. The crowd noticed. They saw something they had never seen before. Perfect cooperation between two different beings. Human and dragon moving as one. Kale became frustrated, angry. He swung wildly, trying to crush this human who wouldn't die, and in his anger he made a mistake. Hyunwoo saw the opening. With the last of his strength, using a move Bora showed him through their link, he struck at Kale's leg joint where the armor was weak. The dragon warlord fell to one knee. Hyunwoo stood over him, weapon raised. He could finish this. End Kale. Prove dragon strength through dragon methods, but he didn't. He lowered his weapon and stepped back. I don't need to kill you to win, he said. That's the point. Strength isn't just about who can hurt who the most. It's about knowing when to show mercy. The crowd was silent. Elder Sul stood up from her seat. Enough. The human has proven his point. And more importantly, the two have shown us something we had forgotten. She looked at Bora. You, young one. You did not interfere directly, but you shared your strength with your guardian. This is the old way. The way of the first flight when dragons